Hey everyone, Cooper here, host of the fine podcast you're listening to. I just want to let you know that the episode you clicked on has a format that is very heavily inspired by a podcast called The Bookening. To be clear, our thoughts and opinions in this episode are our own, but the format is very similar to this podcast. I just wanted to give you a heads up and give credit where it is due. With that out of the way, enjoy the show. Coming up next, Booking It reads The Screwtape Letters. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Booking It. I'm, of course, your humble and eloquent host, Mr. Cooper Cobbs, or should I say, your very dear host, Mr. Cooper Cobbs.
No,
and joining me today is my very dear friend, Isaiah and Tanner.
Hi. I don't know how to feel about that, but okay.
I know how
Say
to
hi,
feel
Tanner.
about that. Hola.
Wow.
Okay, that's original Tanner humor right there for you guys.
I
Anyway,
make these jokes all the time.
Yeah,
dear
totally.
listener, my very dear listener, we appreciate you guys tuning in to another episode of Booking It. We're talking about, of course, the Screwtape Letters, if you couldn't tell from my condescending address of, or
And the intro reads
addressing
Screwtape
of-
Letters, but still.
yeah, that too, and the episode title you clicked on, and the notes you read. Anyway,
Uh-huh.
talking about Stone Cold Classic by one Mr. Clive Staples Lewis.
Still think it's weird that he's
And-
called that.
Definitely
Yeah,
not
well-
related to me. I'll just clear that up right now.
Yeah, just
I
let's get
wish.
this out of the way from the start. He's not related to Tanner. I think this is one of the first Lewis books we've done. Me and Isaiah did Out of the Silent Planet a few weeks ago, and I
Tanner.
don't think we've done. What?
It was me and you.
No,
No, it
me
was
and Cooper.
Isaiah.
Oh, that was
For
the other
sure.
one. We had
Yeah, it
the...
was another one.
Never mind.
Yep. Anyway, I think
Forget
that's
all
the only
that.
Lewis stuff we've done. Is that the only? Wow, it's a long time. Anyway,
I think so.
yeah. Anyway, Lewis. You like Lewis,
Yeah,
Isaiah?
that guy. Yes, I do.
You like Tanner Lewis?
Nah, maybe.
Nah.
Kidding,
Anyway.
Tanner, yes.
Yeah, one Mr. James T. Lewis sitting over there.
Yeah, that guy.
Because, as everybody likes to point out, Tanner's real name actually isn't Tanner.
It
Just
isn't.
like C.S.
It's
Lewis'
James.
real name, just like C.S. Lewis' real name isn't C.S. It's Clive.
That'd be
So
honestly worse than Clive Staples. Lewis,
you got
but-
two things in common, Tanner. The name you go by isn't your real name, and you have a last name Lewis. So
Hey, at
and
least
plus-
he doesn't go by Staples Lewis, okay?
yeah,
Or
it's true.
C.S.
It's
Lewis.
true. Nobody has ever seen Tanner and C.S. Lewis in the same room. So I'm just saying.
It could be me.
Wow. Okay.
He's totally not dead for 50 years. Anyway, that's enough banter.
Okay.
Cut the banter out. We're talking about Screwtape Letters. And before we dive into that, we need to do some baggage. So, Isaiah, tell us your history and baggage that you brought to the Screwtape Letters with Mr. C.S. Lewis and, of course, the Screwtape Letters itself.
Alrighty. So, well, with the Screwtape Letters, I've kind of almost like always heard about it, at least since I was younger, saw it on a bookshelf.
Yeah.
I didn't know this until this year when we had to read it, but the copy we have of Screwtape Letters is over 40 years old. So, yeah, my dad's had it for a really long time, and I've always heard it was a great book. I just never read it. I tried to read it when I think I was like 9, and I kind of got bored, so I stopped. But
Interesting.
I know. But reading it again this semester, it's a great book. But with
Yeah.
C.S. Lewis, I've known about that guy like all my life. My parents read to me the Chronicles of Narnia
Yeah.
when I was
I
little.
think it's safe to
and all
say
that.
we've all been raised on Narnia, for sure.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I
Narnia
love
was the
C.S. Lewis.
first novel that I ever read.
Oh, fun. Mine was The
Nice.
Magic Treehouse.
Yeah, same. Actually, probably
Ouch.
Narnia at the same time. I don't know. I think we did both at the same time. Whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Cool.
that's my baggage with him.
Yep, and you like Lewis, right? I mean, you
Yeah,
enjoy
of course.
Lewis. Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
studying him for a college class, like
Oh,
literally.
Isaiah's taking a college class on C.S. Lewis. That's cool. I wonder if there's a college class on James T. Lewis. No, it's probably not.
There's a lot to study about me, guys.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. One could tell many stories.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess Tanner, you want to do your baggage on your ancient ancestor?
Sure.
Ancient ancestor.
Very ancient ancestor.
Yes, very ancient.
So as far as it regards Screwtape Letters, I didn't really all the way read it until this year for school. I had picked it up a little bit earlier, probably a year or two ago, and started reading it, but as always, other things got in the way, and I decided to pick up the more interesting book, even though this is really good after going all the way through it.
Okay, what was the more interesting book?
Isaiah. I have read over 250 books. I have a list. I can't tell you which one it was.
Tanner's
Okay,
read.
never mind then. Fine.
You heard just 250. Wow, okay. Impressive.
I'll show you the list, Cooper.
Sure. Honestly, I'm kind of jealous because I wish I had started a list a long time ago. But
honestly,
anyway.
yeah, same.
Go ahead, Tanner. Sorry.
Yeah. I did start the list. It was actually for that reason because I wish I had started the list a long time ago. Probably 2 years ago. But anyways, I think that I started reading C.S. Lewis books with the Chronicles of Narnia, and I started reading those when I was 6 or 7, and then those were the first actual real books that I can say that I've read, other than those like joke books that are like 3 pages and take 5 minutes to read.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's kind of how I roll with C.S. Lewis. I know way too many facts about him and enjoy nerding out. So
yeah,
bear with me.
As far as I go, same with you guys. Raised on Narnia. I think my parents started reading it out loud, and they were just too slow, so I just kind of took over and finished them off. Then I've read Narnia all the way through several times. I mean, Lewis has always just been a name that I've known. It's been thrown around. Like I've read a space trilogy, which is obviously, as they talked about, me and Tanner talked about. I think you're thinking of earlier. We talked about the whole trilogy, behind the paywall. Yeah, a bonus episode. And I always love Lewis. Always pretty much love what he does. Even if it's bad, it's interestingly bad. It still has some good stuff. It's kind of like the space trilogy. And as far as Screwtape goes, for some reason, up until a few years ago, I really didn't know what Screwtape was about, even though I'd heard it thrown around. When one of our pastors at our church mentioned it in a sermon and kind of used it as an example, I was like, oh, that's cool. And then eventually I realized that I was going to have to read it for challenge, and I didn't I didn't accelerate reading it early or anything. I just waited to read it here. But I was really excited to read it, have been for a long time, and I think it lived up to the expectations for sure. One of my favorite books we've read this year, and yeah, really loved it. So, well, I guess that's all out of the way. You guys want to give your overall thoughts on Screwtape Letters?
I thought it was a great book, and it was very creative of Lewis to do it in the demon's perspective of the book, like writing in the demon's perspective of tempting man instead of like man's perspective or something like that.
Yeah.
So I thought it was really cool and interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Isaiah. It was really cool and interesting. And for my essay that we wrote about this book, I wrote from a devil's perspective, basically like it was coming out of another devil's or demon's view, and basically encouraging other demons to read it. And that was my essay. And honestly, I enjoyed it so much. Like, writing it from that perspective, I thought that was a really fun essay. Yet, I think we'll talk about this later. Like, it was kind of emotionally draining and like spiritually draining from like what Lewis says in his preface. And
yeah, I mean, Lewis hated writing the Screwtape Letters, even though he said it came very easily. He did not enjoy writing this at all. The process of writing it.
Yeah.
Anyways, I, like Tanner, wrote a similar essay where I basically refuted an imaginary essay written. It's complicated. It'll make sense if you guys read the essay. But anyway, I wrote the essay refuting an imaginary essay written by myself from Screwtape's perspective. And like Tanner, it was a lot of fun to write. And yeah, it kind of scared me a little bit, like how much I enjoyed it. And I wrote a really long essay in like no time. And anyway, but yeah, I
Dang.
think that Screwtape is great. And like Isaiah said, I want to talk about it next, but doing it from the perspective that he did and from the angle he did was really smart and makes for a better book overall, I think. So, well, that's my next question. Why do you guys think he chose to write from Screwtape's perspective instead of a man's perspective or just writing an essay? Why did he write the Screwtape Letters how he did?
Honestly, I got no clue with that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought maybe he wanted to do it differently than other people wrote it or something.
Yeah.
Give that new
Unique.
perspective, but yeah, to be unique with it. But I got no clue besides that.
Yeah. I mean, this is... Go ahead, Tanner. Sorry.
Yeah, I think my thoughts on that question is, I think that he did it because it kind of gives you a different perspective into it. Kind of
Yeah.
like Isaiah was just saying. I think that's what he just said, at least.
Yep.
It gives you a little bit of an easier pathway into seeing the downfallenness of man through the eyes of something that is really fallen. Or
Yeah.
That's my long and short of it.
Yeah. I think one of the reasons Lewis did it was also, like you guys said to me, just to have a new perspective in it. But I think the real end of it is it's more effective this way. The point that he wanted to make was more effective like this than it was like an essay or an actual novel from the perspective of man. So it's been said that if you have a point to make, you write an essay. If you got a story to tell, write a story. Now, obviously, your story is going to have a point. It'll have a message. But you can't just start at the point and work backwards. And I think that Lewis walks the line here because I think he probably came up with the conceit of what if a demon is writing to his nephew demon, talking about just how to exploit the weakness of men. And I think that was probably where he started. I'm sure maybe he said somewhere how it started, but I bet you that's how it started, that idea. And then obviously from that lends itself to so many things. But just writing it this way is so much more effective than anything else. Like, for example, there's a point where Screwtape is telling Wormwood to exploit his patient's, like, annoyingness at his mom just for little mannerisms or little things that she does that he doesn't like, and just play off of that. And I think that was so much more effective coming from a demon telling another demon to do that, rather than just like writing an essay. Sometimes we get annoyed at each other's little mannerisms, and that's not good, and we need to stop that. Like, it's like, duh, yeah. But writing it from Screwtape's perspective just makes it so much more impactful and so much more effective. And that's something that stories just can do. Even when the point made by a story is always going to be probably stronger and more effective than anything that's just an essay. And so I think, anyway, he probably chose it because the concept popped into his mind, but because it also is more effective at communicating a point too.
All points agreed on there.
All right. Just overall,
Good
do you
job.
guys like how he wrote it? I mean, it's Lewis. He's great, but
Yeah.
any style notes you guys want to make note of here?
I love how he kind of like in each letter he kind of had a specific point that he had,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
like to some extent, right? And then he
Yes.
had it's basically kind of like our LTW essays, our Lost Tools of Writing. Like
Oh,
we have a
don't
main
remind me of those.
Isaiah, shut up. So we have a main point in the letter, right? And then we have like 3 or 4 supporting points that are underneath that. And I just really liked how it was kind of easy to follow all of that, even though it was still kind of like a story on the inside once you crack open the letter. And it just kind of flows straight through all the points without really needing to try and find the line, because every point just kind of flowed straight into the other point.
Yep.
It felt like a river.
Yeah, it was easy to follow and easy to understand and read, which I liked,
Yeah.
because like it wasn't full of too many either. Like it wasn't too dense or something like that, like where you had to actually, it was hard to understand or figure out what was happening. So it was easy to, I don't know, I guess just get the message he was trying to get across
Yeah, for sure.
or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I love about Narnia and the way it's written is it's written for kids, and it's obviously written for kids. I mean, adults enjoy it. I'm sure I'm going to enjoy it when I'm an adult. But the way that Lewis writes it, he writes it for kids and, like, winking at kids, yet it's not in, like, a condescending tone, if that makes any sense. He's not writing it and it's, like, just writing it in a way that's kind of being mean to the kid. It's talking down to the kid, you know what I mean? It's more just writing it as it is, and it's writing it plain and simple, but it's doing it in such a way that's really, really good. I think that's something Lewis does here. Like Isaiah said, it's not dense. Lewis is one of those writers who's, even though he's old, it doesn't really affect the comprehension or anything. It's very clear, easy to understand, and yeah, just overall well done. For sure. And like Tanner said, I mean, each letter is written in its own way as well. Each letter has its own logic, its own points that it needs to make, and it just flows all really well. And having written something and, like, trying to write the voice of Screwtape, it's pretty easy to write the voice of Screwtape, honestly. You're writing a condescending, elite, somebody who drinks tea and talks down to people, that kind of person. So I'm sure it wasn't too hard for Lewis to enter in and write that. So, you guys got any more thoughts on Lewis's writing?
Nope.
Okay. Well, I mean, maybe we should tackle this head on here. Did you guys, I don't know, how did you guys feel about just the idea of Screwtape? Did it interfere, like, did your conscience ever say anything to you about the, I mean, that sounds kind of weird, but you know what I mean? Like, did you ever feel like he was twisting theology? Did you ever feel like he was doing something he wasn't supposed to do, or, I don't know.
Screwtape?
No, Lewis writing Screwtape.
Lewis. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, I just thought he was kind of writing, I don't know, just writing what he thought it was like how it would be like that, or, yeah. I didn't think he was twisting theology or anything.
Yeah.
I think that it was all for a good point, I guess. Like, every time that he used the Bible and, like, was trying to come up with a point, like, every time he used the Bible, or, like, an example from the Bible, or, like, a mannerism from the, not a mannerism, like a saying from the Bible, it was to prove a point about how we twist the Bible.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, like, talking about, like, he wasn't twisting the Bible, he was showing how we twist the Bible, I guess. Does that make sense?
Also,
so I guess that's why it didn't really twist my conscience, like, for, like, as far as, like, thinking about him twisting that, I don't think he did anything wrong there. I think that, if anything, he was doing something right in pointing that out.
Yeah. And sometimes, also, when he called, God the enemy from Screwtape's perspective, and called the devil our father below, some of that's kind of meant to just, maybe not shock us, but just kind of wake us up. Like, these are real, they don't like God, they don't like you, and they're out there, right? And they're going to come and try to attack you. So I think there was also some of that. Yeah, for me, it didn't really do anything like that, because I don't think Lewis is trying to say, this is the correct theology. There is a academy for demons out there. There are nephew demons and uncle demons, and they write letters to each other. This is obviously a contrived scenario of, like, Screwtape is literally a stately, condescending British person from the 1900s, right?
It turns into a caterpillar, yes.
Yes, sipping tea, and he turns into a caterpillar. Sipping tea and pinning letters to his nephew, right? Like, he's not trying to say this is theology or interpret the Bible or anything like that. So he's just, like Tanner said, trying to make a point. So through this scenario, so I don't think it bothered me at all, for sure. But was there anything? How does Screwtape, in your guys' mind, help your walk with Christ and help your walk as a Christian? Was there anything in there that just really stood out to you, that you really, really enjoyed, and that really was applicable to your life? What was kind of the main thing you guys took away, I guess?
What I got is, no matter what, Wormwood did or Screwtape did, with the patient, trying to tempt him and all that. Sometimes it might have worked, but he always went back to God. I mean, once he was a Christian, he went back to God, and God was there to protect him and be there for him, I guess. And so
they can't do anything when God's out of control, right?
Yep.
Yeah, for me, I just remember all the times when like they said that they could only bend whatever the enemy had created, meaning God. Like, not that God is the enemy, just using their terms. Don't misunderstand me here. But basically just how like all that Satan can use is God has created a perfect world, right? And then the only way that Satan can win and conquer us is basically by bending everything that God created and said. And so I guess that's just kind of empowering, I guess, because if you know the truth, then you can't be fooled by the counterfeit. Like, if you know what a real $100 bill looks like, and you know what the real things looks like, then you won't be sucked in by the counterfeit $100 bill that's sitting over here on Satan's lap, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how I come in from this.
And that's biblical too. I mean, especially when Satan is tempting Jesus in the desert, and he's like, so throw yourself off this building because here's some scripture. And it's like, you're just completely twisting that to suit your own means. And so, yeah, for sure. I'd say for me, Screwtape was just giving me a fresh perspective on everything. And really, I think the most impactful stuff to me was when Lewis was like, so you try to self-rationalize this in this way, but in reality, all you're doing is succumbing to the devil's tricks. In reality, you're not in the right here, and he's just kind of calling you out metaphorically, right? Like, so the part I mentioned earlier where he's telling Wormwood, to exploit the patient's annoyance at some mannerisms that he has with his family members, and that completely struck a chord with me. There are times where I'm just annoyed at my family when they're eating, when they're chewing gum, or just little things that they do, and it just annoys me for some reason. And when I get angry about it, like, I'm not justified in that. Like, that's totally not right. And C.S. Lewis is just like calling me out, right? So that's kind of the stuff that I really liked, was Lewis calling you out and saying, in reality, you try to justify this, but there's really no justification, and you're just succumbing to the devil's tricks here. So that's not good for you at all. Don't do that. Stop doing that, kind of thing, for me. So, I don't know if there's any other profound thoughts you guys took from Screwtape to apply to your lives.
Yeah, I really like chapter 1 as well. Like, just kind of the part where he's talking about his own experience. I mean, Screwtape's talking about one of his own patients, and he's talking about the time when he basically took the patient and took him out and said, you don't think about this. Like, just see the real life, and don't be, like, the enemy doesn't want to teach you anything. I said this in my essay. I think that me and Cooper should both post our essays.
I think we'll post them, yeah.
We'll post them. So for all you patrons, those will be posted for you within the week.
That's right. Support us at, I think, just $2 a month. You can get access to those. So go to patreon.com/bookinit. You can read me and Tanner's essay soon.
Yes. So basically, I'm just going to summarize it for those of you that aren't going to donate. I understand. Money's tight. I'm tight. Basically, that went off wrong. Basically, like, the enemy can't teach us anything. Like, they don't want us to rationalize. They don't want us to think. They just want us to kind of follow blindly. And I guess that's where we I guess that's where we need to, like, as Christians, we need to think, like, and we need to know how to think well, and we need to know what the real $100 bill looks like. And I think that's just kind of the entire point of the Screwtape Letters, and why that was so draining for Lewis when he was writing it, and why he hated it so much when he was writing it. It's just like, because instead of writing the real $100 bill, he was writing the counterfeit $100 bill. And
Right.
so, like, we need to be in the Bible. We need to be listening to God. We need to be praying. Like, the list goes on, even though it's mostly those big three. But we just need to pay attention and not get sucked into the lies and continue to think and rationalize, I guess.
Yeah. Another thing that I like that he wrote, I think it was 16 or 15, I don't know, one of those mid letters. Then it was about how you need to basically turn the patient into a church connoisseur. How instead of listening to a sermon and being like, "Oh, that was good, I'll apply that to my life," or "That was a great sermon," just being like, being critical of the sermon. You know, he's going over time here, or he's spending too much time on this point, or he only used 2 verses instead of 3 verses, and becoming a church connoisseur, liking this church over that church because of preferences and things like that. I thought that was really good. I think that's something we can definitely notice in our lives and, you know, avoid in the future for sure. Anything else you want to say about things you took away, Isaiah, about Screwtape?
No, I just thought it was a really good book.
Yeah. Another note that I had that I thought was cool was several sections where Screwtape is trying to explain to Wormwood God's love and God's methods and just can't understand them at all. And just doesn't understand why God loves humans, why God loves us, why God sent his son, why God does this, why he does that. And I thought it was just fun to see the demon just flounder and like he just doesn't get it. You can't fathom what God has done and what his love is. I thought that was really cool. And anyway. Yep.
Cool.
The essay question that was posed to us was something like, did Screwtape Letters make you more sympathetic toward the demons, or did it actually just help you out in your life? And I think we all agree, though, that
that's
actually,
a stupid essay question. I agree.
It's not a great essay question. Yeah. And that's kind of why me and Tanner had fun with our essays, because in a sense, I wrote my essay from Screwtape's perspective, arguing the opposite point of what I actually believe, to kind of do what C.S. Lewis does here. So that's kind of what I thought of the essay question. But yeah, I mean, there are some points where you feel bad for Wormwood simply because it's a story and Screwtape is being oppressive to Wormwood or something like that. Or sometimes you can just think that the characters are fun, but I don't think you ever feel sympathetic whatsoever, because honestly, they're just ruining this guy's life. Right? That's basically what they're doing. Anytime you actually start to think about what they're doing, it just falls apart. And they're not sympathetic at all. So anyway, how many inkwells out of 10 do you give to Screwtape Letters, Tanner?
I'm going to give it a full 10. It's
Nice.
C.S. Lewis.
Dang. Okay.
It's scripturally accurate. It's theologically accurate.
Well,
it meets all of the above.
It's theologically accurate, but it's a story.
It's not theologically accurate, but
right.
It's a euphemism, guys. Like, come on.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Isaiah, how many wax seals out of 10 do you give to Screwtape?
I'll go with 9.
Okay, 9. I'm gonna give it 9.5 quills out of 10. So I think
9.5 quills.
it's almost perfect. It's almost perfect for sure. I mean, it's just masterfully done how he can be writing from the opposite perspective and yet make it seem so obviously stupid and dumb, and it's in a way we can apply to our lives. Like, it's just masterfully done. It's masterfully done. I don't know. There's nothing else
I think
to
this
say.
is the first time that anyone has ever voted anything a 10 in either of our podcasts ever, other than
No,
the
I'm sure
gospel
we've done it.
episode.
I'm sure that we read the Bible 10 out of 10. I'm sure we've done it before somewhere. I might have given The Hobbit 10 out of 10. We might have done Old Man of the Sea, Tickle a Mockingbird. Those are some that I think.
I don't know.
Perfect.
We'll go back through. I'll fact check it. It's going on Patreon.
If anybody knows, let us know. Give us a shout. And thanks to the people who are emailing us. That's fun. Okay, let's do some donor shoutouts. I said it earlier, but Isaiah, where would someone go if they wanted a donor shoutout?
Can you repeat that? Because my thing just broke up. I have no clue what you said.
Tell them
I've got you. I'll take it. So
ahead.
they'd go to
Go ahead, Ken.
patreon.com/bookinit, and they would subscribe to any of our $5 and up tiers for the donor shout-out. But if you wanted to be able to read our exclusive patron posts, which would include me and Cooper's essays and other fun stuff.
A bunch of weekly nerd posts that I do.
Oh, yes. Amazing.
Yeah.
Bunch of random facts that Cooper pulls up out of Wikipedia or Google or wherever he gets his information these days. And you could donate to our $2 tier for that.
Yeah, two of the most trusted sources out there, Google and Wikipedia. Anyway, yeah, do that.
And Twitter.
Support us.
Twitter now.
Lots of
We
fun
love
stuff.
Twitter.
Oh, yeah. That's where I get all my information, really.
Wow.
Okay. I'll say the donor, and then you guys say which Screwtape letter they like the best. Okay.
What?
So I just say a random
We're
number
pointing out
between,
their
like,
sins.
1 and however many letters there are. They're like
How many
what?
letters are
30
there?
letters.
Okay.
Okay. Tanner, you gonna do Nana?
Okay, so I'm just pointing out. I'm just saying a letter. 15.
Yes. Okay.
Letter 15.
Isaiah, Van Pappy, and Wayla.
Let's go with 23. I think that's the one where they
Nice.
talk about keeping the patient alive for as long as possible, or whatever the heck. That was my favorite.
Oh,
one,
yeah,
so.
that was pretty cool. Yeah. Isaiah's grandparents, Mike and Sylvia. Tanner.
Let's go with number 1. That was a pretty good one.
Yeah. All right. Then Isaiah, your parents, Mr. Mike and Miss Laura.
Let's go with number 2.
All right. Tanner, Isaiah's Uncle Sebi.
Number 14. Pay attention, folks.
All right. Isaiah, Aunt Jenny, and Uncle Sam. Your Aunt Jenny and Uncle Sam.
Yeah. Let's go with, I don't know, I guess 12.
So, yeah.
This is
It's never the
terrible
list
idea
never
for
ceases
donor
to amaze
shout-outs.
me about how many people from Isaiah's family are on this list.
honestly.
Never ceases to amaze me. All right, Tanner, Moses,
22.
22. Isaiah, Zara,
9.
Tanner, Anna,
31.
is there a 31 letter? Is there?
It's the very last.
Oh, okay.
Oh, dang.
Isaiah, Emily,
30.
Becky, Tanner,
27.
and Isaiah, Lizzie.
13.
29.
13. 13. Aw.
13? Why? Okay, fine,
Because.
13.
Anyway, thank you guys for listening. Appreciate that. And make sure to go to support us, the link that Tanner said. And also, like Tanner said, money is tight. And if you can donate for whatever reason, make sure you go and leave a 5-star rating and review. And I think that eventually we need to create a t-shirt that says, money is tight, I'm tight. Tanner. And I would so wear that t-shirt. Anyway, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time with Animal Farm. That'll be a fun one. And Isaiah, say the thingamajig.
Keep on booking it.